walking down the halls of Eugene Field A+ Elementary, you'll notice a little more.
Going on a bear hunt.
More music,
On a bear hunt.
more art, and more movement.
Your arms up high and stretch to the sky. Stretch to the sky. Stretch to the sky.
That's because at Eugene Field Arts plus Academics Elementary, a focus on the arts is just the beginning.
We are one of the specialty schools in Sioux Falls, and we are the arts school, A+, plus the academics. And I tell them that we try each and every day to integrate our arts into our curriculum and our daily teaching. For our arts integration project, we have been working on life science, and we studied photosynthesis and the parts of the plant, and so then we tied in Van Gogh's work, his sunflowers, with our science lessons. And so Ms. Boucher was able to integrate different techniques that Van Gogh used, and we got to talk about plants at the same time.
Students here had the advantage of the Sioux Falls School District elementary curriculum, with the additions of dance, drama, and arts integration that many other schools don't offer.
The A+ schools have 8 different components, so it's hitting all of those different components over time. We'll be doing an extensive training of several days this spring after school dismisses, following the model from the A+ schools in North Carolina. We'll actually have trainers here from North Carolina working with our staff for about 3 to 5 days. And then each year we'll do a different type of training where perhaps we go visit an A+ school in another state, or those trainers come here and model teach in our own classrooms.
This relatively small school in the heart of Sioux Falls is growing in popularity among parents and students, for good reason.
The growth is occurring in our open enrolled students, so within 2 years we've grown from 65% of our students to open enrolled to 74% open enrolled. The home attendance center area does have a high reduced and free lunch rate, and that would indicate that test scores should be at a certain point, and certainly at Eugene Field we far exceed those test scores. We're proud of our scores and have made significant gains, particularly in math over the last couple of years, and very proud of our student performance.
We were just concerned about the size of our home school, or our home district. And we just thought Eugene Field was a good fit. So the size is why we came, but why we stay is because of the great staff. They have just excellent teachers here. We've just been very pleased with the educational experiences that our kids have received here. They use A+, multiple intelligences, and we have just really been pleased with how they work the arts into the regular lessons that the kids are learning. And then just the different ways of learning all the multiple intelligences that they tie in. It's just been really great for our kids.
When the kids come home from Eugene Field, they are most happiest about the relationship with teachers, the singing and dancing, the relationships that they form with their friends, and hanging out with their buddies. It's a close-knit school, and we appreciate the many things that our kids are offered that are extra and that are enriching that they wouldn't get anywhere else. We like that our kids get drama, and that they get music, and that they get an opportunity to be in a school play. We appreciate the fact that there is a multiple intelligence club, and that they can explore different facets of themselves, and the arts are integrated into their curriculum daily.
The school's popularity isn't the only thing that's growing.
Oh, we are so excited about these marvelous learning spaces that are being created for students. We're adding in addition 11 new classrooms, including a beautiful dance studio that is unlike any other space in our district, and I suspect that in the state will be beautiful with mirrored walls, and we see students moving and just really interacting. One of the units we did earlier this year was about the life cycle of a butterfly, and students choreographed a dance about that, and they'll always remember those different stages of the life cycle because of the movement that they did during that. And this space will really enhance and be available for that. So in addition to those new spaces, it is an older building, and we're coming in and renovating parts of the older building. New fixtures and finishes in all of the restrooms, a beautiful new library, We will be the only elementary school that has practice rooms off of our band and orchestra room because so many of our students participate in those things as well. So I love to see an older building refurbished, revitalized, just becoming such an integral part and remaining an integral part of the community. But just wonderful support from the school district for the program. We are adding because of the demand for the program and the number of students that we would like to come and we had not previously been able to accommodate. So we are looking forward to that very much.
You know, there's a large expansion going on at this point, and we feel that that's really going to increase the educational opportunities that our kids have, and so we're really excited about that. So just you know, we're already satisfied, and now they're making the building even better, which is going to be great for us.
At a school where the arts are such a high priority, you can imagine what the performances might be like.
If you haven't experienced the musical that Eugene Field puts on, Mrs. Laura, Jaden has just done a phenomenal job. You need to come and just see that musical that's put on. You would not believe that third, fourth, and fifth graders can put on a performance of that quality. It's just, it's amazing.
It's something that the kids look forward to every year, and the whole school gets involved. It's not just third, fourth, and fifth grade, but it's their teachers and the lessons that they take from the musical being taught and talking about the era in which it takes place or using the genre of the musical to tie into language arts. It's talking to the kids about using math to build stages, and the kindergarten, first, and second graders, they just get excited because they see it coming, and they get to watch what happens around. Like, our classroom gets smaller and smaller and smaller as set pieces are being built and costumes are coming into place, and I get to use those tangible items and tie them into drama and the spectacle that all of that stuff creates. And so it focuses in on one of the elements of drama, which is spectacle. And they learn that you don't need all that to tell a story, but those things enhance and make it that much bigger and better.
I have a message to share with you that is really serious. In fact, it's so serious that I've asked the teachers to help me tell you because I didn't think it was something I could do by myself. So staff, would you please help me with this message? We have this announcement for our students. Staff, would you help me please?
When you simply announce what the musical will be for the year, and this is the response you get, you know you're in for a treat. But performances aren't necessarily a once-in-a-while thing around here.
We do both polished performances and what we call informances as part of the A+ school. And in each of those cases, kids are asked to work collaboratively together with others. They're asked to be creative and come up with things on their own. And when they do that, and they do it so many times in their years through school here, starting as early as kindergarten, they have an incredible amount of confidence building going on each and every time. And so when we send them off after they've been with us as 5th graders, I feel like they just go out and they have a confidence that I don't recognize in every group of children that I see then later at middle school. I think it sets them above.
Yeah, actually I do see that in my older student. An example would be just recently here they had to give a presentation. It was just a little presentation to stand up in front of the class and talk about a project that you worked on. To him that was no problem. You know, it was, I've got this confidence, I've been doing it since I was in kindergarten. You know, getting up in front of a group, maybe it's a small group or a large group of people, and presenting my ideas or my thoughts. So it's really neat to see that it's, you know, middle school, it has really helped him build his confidence as far as presenting to a small or large group of people.
This classroom is acting out a story they've just read.
Cast the color robber, put the yellow in his sack. Then he jiggled and he wiggled and he sang,
Rat-tat-tee, rat-tat-tee. I take colors on the color robber man.
Cast the color robber, saw the green grass, and he shouted,
Groovy green, I'll take that.
Cast the color robber, put the green in his sack. Then he jiggled and he wiggled and he sang,
Rat-tat-tee, rat-tat-tee. I take colors on the color robber man.
Acting out a story, without a doubt, it's going to make that story sink in. And so they're going to understand the genre, they're going to understand beginning, middle, and end, which is another thing that we work with kindergartners quite a bit, is understanding what happens in the beginning, what happens in the middle, what happens in the end. Problem solution solving, their ability to then to be able to write and go, oh, my story needs to have a strong beginning, my story needs to have an end, it needs to make sense, it needs to have a problem and a solution. And so that drama and that acting out builds those writing skills and being able to remember information from a story. And that will serve them well in any nonfiction, when they have to take tests and they have to pull information from nonfiction passages, being able to remember the order of events, remember the significant pieces is going to serve them well.
And that kind of arts integration is the tip of the iceberg.
This week in Art Integration, we have been talking about communities and the importance of the Declaration of Independence and other American symbols. And so we took a project where we are studying the Statue of Liberty, and they're sketching it into a piece of copper metal, which seems like, oh, it's probably just an art project, but the dialogue that you hear the students coming up with, well, this is cool because the Statue of Liberty is actually made of copper. And hearing that they're thinking about it in a different way, where I didn't necessarily present it that way the first time we talked about the lesson, but incorporating it. And then upcoming we have a science lesson based on sound and pitch. And so we're going to be working with Mrs. Laura about what are some different instruments that make different sounds. So it's a really free dialogue between all the different specialist teachers to get those new lessons and new ideas that I didn't think about first.
We've recently been using music when we've been introducing different poems, and so just this week as 5th grade we introduced Winkin', Blinkin' and Nod by Eugene Field. And so we found a recording of that by the Doobie Brothers. And so they played the song, or we listened to it, and then the children each took a stanza. They were in different groups, and they took a stanza of the poem, and then they created a tableau, like a freeze frame dramatic activity where they were interpreting the different lines within the poem.
New students at Eugene Field are evaluated using a multiple intelligence inventory.
For me, that's probably the strongest thing about the school that I love, that each and every kid is smart in some way. So we have them usually kind of take a look at an assessment of where their strengths are, the things that they like, and we don't pinpoint them to one specific smart. Many of us have very different smarts, maybe 2 or 3 at a time, but when they know that they are smart in some way, I think it gives them a little more confidence in attacking some of those other things that they're not so confident about.
I love to see that my kindergartner is learning his colors, and he might not be learning them just by looking at the colors and saying red. They're doing a song with it, or they might get out scarves and dance with it. my 5th grader is learning his vocabulary words in different ways. He's still learning the same vocabulary words that other schools are learning, but he might be learning it in maybe a little different way. One day they may be acting out their vocabulary words, the next day they may be doing it in a word search, or they may be drawing their vocabulary words out. They're tapping in on all of your different smarts, but yet they're still learning the same things that other schools are learning. Here at Eugene Field, every child, I feel, learns in a different way, or every child has a different smart that they're good at. So by a teacher tapping in on those smarts, it triggers something, I feel, in their brain that tells them, you know, I really learn better by drawing these out. So even like as they go on to middle school or later on in life, they'll learn, you know, to memorize something, I need to draw this out, or I need to write this out, or maybe I need to sing a little song in my head to remember this. So I think that tapping in on those smarts really helps a child to remember some different things that they need to know.
And kind of getting them to recognize that is the really cool part, because then they can say, maybe I'm not so good at this math problem, but if I think about it in an art perspective, then I can really be good at it. And so it's really, really crucial at the school to figure out and take the time the first 1 to 2 weeks and figure out which groups of students work best in designing lessons that fit all of those different types of learners. It helps me to see where their strengths and weaknesses are, and if I know where their strengths are, I can build those up so that their weaknesses don't seem as overpowering to them, and especially at a 3rd grade level where there's a lot of struggle with just identity and thinking about, well, I know I'm really good at this, so if my teacher allows me to do it this way and I could show her that I know the knowledge, I may not know it in a word way, but I'm able to show her in a different way, it allows students to have a lot more success in the classroom.
I think when the A+ school was first implemented here at Eugene Field 12 years ago, that differentiating for students was something new and different. We expect in the Sioux Falls schools and all of our schools for teachers today to be differentiating for students. We just approach it very systemically here and really focus on the individual learner and the individual student to try very, very hard to make sure that we are building on the strengths of each student. So it's finding that strength, finding what interests them. We actually do quite a bit of professional development on brain research and how is it that people learn. And one of those is when it's engaging and it makes an emotional connection, then they're better equipped to focus and learn. And the arts are certainly one way of doing that for many students. But we don't focus on just the arts. Kinesthetic learning is one mode of learning here. And when you go into classrooms and you see students up and moving and learning through movement for different things, those types of things I think are just systemically part of what we do every day. It's just our natural instructional technique at Eugene Field.
When students know themselves and teachers know their students so well, the next natural step is daily teacher collaboration and close parent-teacher relationships.
It has great teachers, the kids are great here, the administration is great. It's just a cooperative effort. It's like a family, and I think a lot of schools maybe that are bigger maybe don't have that same home feel. But here, you're like you're part of a family, and it's just been a great experience. We've really enjoyed Eugene Field Elementary.
To me, it feels like a small town school in a large city. I like to talk about how the teacher-parent relationship is very strong here. Everybody feels like they know one another, and we feel like a family. It's a great school to be at.
In short, Eugene Field Arts plus Academics Elementary is a place where the wonder of learning is never lost. Students learn new concepts in a variety of ways, helping ensure their understanding. And the natural tendency for kids to move is encouraged.
When you think about adults sitting in a classroom, it's hard for us to sit still for a half hour. So as a young child that's anxious to move, it must be torture for them to try and sit for 20 minutes. So it just makes sense that we need to have them move, because if their blood's pumping, it's pumping into their brain. And so we really believe that if we get them moving and moving in actions that represent their learning, then it will stick longer. Because it's not just I'm hearing it and I'm supposed to file it in my brain and remember it, but they're feeling it, they're seeing it, they're doing it. And so it's just a much more powerful way, not only for them to learn, but for them to remember the knowledge.
When you put it all together with multiple intelligence learning, and the confidence being built here.
Well, it's one of the reasons I wanted to come here as an administrator. I grew up in a small community, taught in a small community, and then also taught in the large, and I believe Eugene Field has the benefits of both of those. It has the size and the sense of community of a smaller school system, but all of the wonderful supports that a larger school system provides.
I can 100% say that if I had kids, I would send them here because of how I feel as a teacher. I feel valued and important, and I feel like how I learn is best represented. And so being able to share with students that it's okay if you're not the best at this, but you can show that you know how to do it in a different way. And so I think it's so valued that no matter how you learn, you can succeed, which I think is really special about this school.
I just so often hear adults who visit our school say, I wish there'd been a school like that when I was growing up and going to school. I would have done well. Or they think of someone in their family or a friend that maybe didn't excel in school, and they see this school and they think, that would have worked well for me. And so my passion in education has always been to find ways to reach all students, not just those who learn linguistically and traditionally. And I think we do that very well, and it's because of our great staff at Eugene Field.
The only question left is, how do I learn more?
We love for any parent who has an interest at all to come and see our school and take a tour. I enjoy doing that and answering questions and sharing information. I think that the best way to know if something's the right fit for your child is to experience it firsthand. So we welcome them to do that at any time and schedule many appointments throughout the year.
Eugene Field A+ Elementary. Arts plus academics. What will you learn today?